Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to a brand new show here on the Planet Film Network, Films Revisited. So this basically is going to be, a series where, we take a look at a film that, from the past that either had good reception or bad reception
Mhm.
or, anything in between. And we basically see if, with 2021 or, and onward eyes, if it gets better or if it gets worse. Basically, it's to determine if you guys should take the time to revisit the film. So basically, we revisit them so that maybe you don't have to. Or maybe we
Yeah.
can tell you,
It'll also
if
be
you should.
uh very sporadic. So we're not gonna do this for every single
Yeah.
release.
Oh
It'll
yeah.
honestly probably be more you'll probably more see it like if it's like there's a remake coming out, like the movie we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about today, or like
Yeah.
a and then we'll probably watch the older one, see, how it was received and
Yeah,
if we think
absolutely.
watching it,
Yeah,
show
yeah.
some.
Like TJ said, this is not going to take the place of us doing actual reviews or anything. This is more like he said. It's something like if there's a new thing coming out, or if like something particular happens in like the news or something with like an actor or something like that, we're gonna take a look back and yeah, take a look at an. They're always gonna be like an older film. Um, so yeah, today we are taking a look at none other than 2016's Suicide Squad, directed by David Ayer?
David
Question
Ayer,
mark?
yep.
Or was it? Um, Definitely wasn't edited by him. That's for sure.
Mm-mm.
But yeah. So let's just go off the bat. So what I know that you were saying that you can't really. It's not very a memorable movie for you, but like
Mhm.
what were your thoughts going into this, rewatch of it? What were your preconceived notions? What baggage were you taking into this watch?
Well, I already knew that it was I obviously recall that it was not very well received when it came out. Um this was still the DC's obviously gotten better, but this
Hmm.
was still the tumultuous like Snyder kind of era of DC where they didn't really know what they were doing. We had BVS at this point, which was obviously released to very middling kind of, you know, uh reviews. And then, this came out and I don't remember what the thought of the trailers were.
Hmm.
Um if I recall, the trailers had the same vibe, obviously, as the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm sure everybody was kind of expecting. You definitely saw Jared Leto's Joker in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
Um, so going in, I already knew that I was like, okay, like this should be interesting.
Hmm.
And yeah, I wasn't the most excited to watch it, but I figured, why not?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think pretty similar. I think most people, if you're not like a mega fan of this movie, and there definitely are people that really enjoy this movie and really stick up for it and stuff. And I mean, that's
Mhm.
more power to you. Um, my mother is one of those people that she just like
Oh, okay.
loves. She like loves this movie, and I'm like, okay, good. That's great. But basically, I am not one of those people. I thought it was like okay the first time I saw it. I was like, okay, that was like pretty. That was pretty fun. There's some entertaining moments and stuff. But it's just like I don't know. With time, like the obviously how everybody feels about this movie has changed over the years,
Mhm.
and it's doesn't have the best reputation. But I gotta say, I hadn't seen it in maybe like 2 or 3 years, probably like all the way through start to finish. So uh, I didn't think that it was going to improve it at all, but I was excited to watch it because I was like, all right, let's just see, like let's see if it's
Yeah.
you know um, making any changes or anything like that, or if it changes in my eyes. So yeah, that was pretty much how what I was going into it with. Um, I gotta say, I think this is a more entertaining film than I was expecting
Mhm.
to see. I don't know if you feel the same way. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I mean, I was entertained.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say like it's not like one of those like, oh my god, it's so bad it's good, like one of those things, but I was definitely entertained. I wasn't bored. I mean, can we just get it? I mean, are we just kind of getting into like the thick of
Oh
anything
yeah,
we're talking about,
absolutely.
really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
Um, yeah, I mean, I wasn't bored really. I liked the characters, I liked again, a lot of these characters I had never heard of. Like, obviously, I've heard of Harley Quinn, I've heard of Deadshot,
Hmm.
um, but like Captain Boomerang was somebody I had never heard about in
Yeah.
2016 when this came out. Um, but like one of my things I like dislike, so like I don't like how like the introduction to every character is like a music video. I hate that. I
Hmm.
hate that every 2 seconds there's like another pop song. And don't get me wrong, when this album came out, there was like 2 or 3 songs on there that I was it's not in the, I don't think it's in the movie, but Purple Lamborghini by Rick Ross and Skrillex.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna front on that one, but like every single like minute in
Hmm.
the beginning of this movie is like a song, another song, and another song, and another song. It's like, can we please stop with the songs?
Yeah.
And I also did not like the just aesthetic. I did not like the cyberpunk type. I like the cyberpunk like style, but not in the
Hmm.
way that it was done here. Like I didn't like the neon, and I didn't like the everybody makes fun of the whole like Jared Leto Joker says damaged on his forehead. I thought that was dumb. Like, it's just I don't know. I did not like the vibe of the movie and the aesthetic of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree 100%. I think the trailers and like the early stuff, like I remember the very first Comic-Con trailer where, it showed off a bunch of different stuff. It had much more like somber, like almost like gruesome, gritty tone. And that, I feel, if we're gonna bring in the whole narrative now with the film, I think that was probably what David Ayer is talking about, where he's like, my film was much different. Like you said, the neon and all that stuff. It was not really, it didn't have that vibe in the very first look trailer. It was much more
Yeah.
like serious type of thing. And then it was really the second trailer that was like to the Queen song, that like added all the neon and like really like went off the
Yeah.
rails and stuff. And I think that's once they kind of started chopping up the movie a little bit. And I totally agree
Mhm.
with you. I think especially on the rewatch, the fact that I looked, I made timestamps and I have notes. The fact that we were, I think it was 22 minutes into the film, and whether it was David Harbour's character, who I don't think they even give a name to, I don't even think that character gets a name in the movie,
Mhm.
whether it was David Harbour's character or Amanda Waller, we were 22 minutes into the movie at the last introduction. And then
Yeah.
that's not even
Yeah.
including later in the movie when then Katana
Mhm.
shows up, and you get the, this is
Yeah.
Katana. She's
Oh, this
got the
katana.
like
Yeah.
it's
What?
like
Okay.
why are we still introducing
Yeah.
new characters? Like, and also the
I
movie
did not like that.
opens, yeah, the movie opens with you meeting Floyd Lawton. You meet Deadshot. You see
Mhm.
him interact with the guard and stuff. And I thought that stuff, I think one of my notes here that I'm going to look at my notes in just a second, but I know one of them is I found Will Smith in this movie incredibly uh, great. I think he was in a
Yeah, I
movie.
liked him.
He is in the movie that I want to see. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If that makes sense. I want to see the movie that guy is bringing that performance for, because he's really good in this movie. And I think he
Mhm.
looks great. He's like, I mean, not to comment on anything now. I know he's like documenting his like not weight loss. He's not fat, but like he's getting back into shape on
Yeah.
TikTok right now. But like
Mhm.
he is in like the best shape of his life in this movie. Like he looks great with the Uncle Phil, the bald head and the big beard. Like I think he just the character, the design, it's like comic accurate. I just think the look of Deadshot is like spot on, and I think the performance is great. And then obviously, this movie is what gave us Margot as Harley Quinn, which
Harley
is
Quinn, yeah.
still going on
Which
to now.
yeah.
Like,
But she
um,
is fantastic.
yeah, and
She
she
is
is
great in this
great.
movie.
She's great in this movie as well. The two of them separately and the two of them together is the best
Mhm.
part of this movie, hands down. I also, on this rewatch, which I did not expect, I really like Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. I think he's really good in this. I know the role
Mhm.
originally was going to go to Tom Hardy, but he had to drop out. I
Oh,
think
okay.
I think good for Joel Kinnaman. I think this is a good get for him, and I'm actually really excited to see him back in the next one. Same with Viola Davis. I think
Mhm.
that James Gunn was smart to keep the things that worked in this movie. And I think
Yeah.
everybody that's a carryover definitely worked, because I would include Jai Courtney. He's got kind of a spotty track record, but I think his Captain Boomerang is like funny. you know, the mishaps that he has and stuff. Like, I even thought things like were funny, just like the stupid stuff, like, um, when he convinces Slipknot, you know, to try and escape just to see if the
Yeah.
bombs work. Like, I thought that was really funny. Like, that was a genuinely funny moment. Um,
Yeah, like something like
yeah.
that. Like I definitely found myself. I was like, when he died.
Hmm.
Spoiler. I was just kind of like, okay, like they set up this thing where it's like, oh, they'll do it, but they never do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and this is something where like James Gunn has said, obviously hindsight, but James Gunn is like, you know, Warner Brothers is like, do whatever you want, you know, kill whoever you want. So you already know that going into this new one, that something crazy is gonna happen. Like somebody, you know, somebody's gonna die. You do not expect to die.
Yeah.
But with this character, he had what, like a line, maybe two, and then he
Hmm.
died. Which again, like it just didn't. It doesn't make like maybe if in that moment Deadshot's Amanda Waller tells Deadshot to kill Harley Quinn. If
Hmm.
he actually kills her, I'm feeling something because I've been
Yeah.
with Harley this entire ride, and I know they have this relationship. Um, Even if it does kind of not make much sense, where he doesn't miss, but
Yeah.
he missed, but he's not supposed to miss. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. I
Hmm.
get like you can obviously make yourself miss, um, but yeah, like when he died, I was just kind of like, okay, like I just thought it was dumb. It's like you might as well just not have the character in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. His literal sole purpose is just like he doesn't even get an introduction, like you said.
Yeah,
This whole movie is about introductions, and literally all they say is like, Amanda Waller's like, "That's Slipknot. He can tie any
climb
knot.
anything or
Yeah,
something, or yeah,
he can do anything. Like, she literally says like either he can climb anything or he could tie anything, something like that, and that's
mm,
it. And then he punches a woman. That's our first
yeah.
introduction to it.
Oh
Not that
yeah, he
like
does. Yeah,
not
yeah.
that like obviously, you know, women in
Hmm.
especially in like this kind of universe, you know, obviously women could be bad people
Yeah.
too, obviously with Amanda Waller. But like just the fact that that's the introduction, like that's the first thing we see. He just gets out of a car and he just decks like this
Hmm.
lady who's just opening the door, like,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like pretty crazy. But I gotta say, all in all, I think if you just want like, I think it. All right, we'll close out with this because we're gonna say, you know, whether or not we think you should revisit it. I would say I think it's ripe for a rewatch. I think you should revisit
Mm.
this, um, just because I think if anything, if you haven't seen it since it came out, or if you've never seen it and all you've heard is, you know, the you know, kind of backlash or speculation type thing from other people, I think
Mhm.
take a look at it for yourself. I think you might find some little things to enjoy that maybe you don't think that you might. So that's what I'll
Yeah.
say. I'll say it's worth a revisit on that front.
Yeah. I'll go the opposite side. I don't think so. Um, I don't think the story is worth it.
Hmm.
I think the story kind of is one of the weakest parts of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, with the whole Enchantress thing, and then even like the mission to where they think they're saving somebody else, but it's
Oh
actually
yeah.
Amanda Waller. And I'm kind of like, why is she even there? Like,
Hmm.
why can't she just do this from
Yeah,
a safe
exactly. It's like,
place?
oh, she
Like,
was working in the city at the time that and it's like, so you can evacuate every civilian, but you can't evacuate Amanda Waller.
yeah,
Like, what?
who
How does that
has the
make any sense?
credentials? He has the credentials to
Yeah,
get an
exactly.
evac
You know
like
who
that.
doesn't have
So,
the credentials in this movie? All the young FBI interns that she shoots in the head.
oh yeah,
Like,
that
wow,
was
I did
crazy.
not remember that scene at all. I
Yeah,
was like, what the
yeah.
fuck? Like, and Deadshot's like, damn, that's a cold move, lady. Yeah, you think she just murdered her entire team? Like, what? Like, it was like, that's the most ruthless
Yeah.
thing I've ever seen in this movie. The
Yeah.
Joker wouldn't even do that. Like,
No,
what?
yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know we
Um,
haven't really touched on him, but I just think, I'm sorry, his Joker, he is just, it's terrible. Jared Leto is I don't like him as an actor, but he is a good actor. He is
mhm.
not good in this movie.
I
That's
think it
what
was a
I don't
combination
understand.
of the style and him and the direction, and I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Um, but like you said, yeah, like I think the only reason worth watching this maybe is to get a, I don't know, like it's a good, I think it's a good relationship between Will Smith and Margot Robbie.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but every other character, it doesn't really matter in
Mhm.
my opinion. Like, it's basically just them two,
Yeah.
and even like this isn't the Joker. Because in my opinion, when I think of the Joker, I think of Harley being all over him and him being dismissive,
Yeah.
not the Joker being like, "Oh my God, I have to save her," and him being obsessed. Like, I don't
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Um, and I have not read a lot of comics, so again, if that's in the comics, then
No, you're
slap me on
you're
the
right
wrist,
on
I
the
guess.
money. Yeah, it's more
Okay.
like, yeah. Like
But
the
yeah,
joke, like
that's
in
my
this
opinion.
movie, there's a thing where like the helicopter crashes and like the two of them are in it, and
Right.
he like pushes her out of the helicopter to save her. And it's like in the
Hmm.
comics or in almost every other medium with the two of them,
Yeah. He'd be like,
he
"See
would
ya."
throw her ass into the helicopter and he would like have a
Yeah.
parachute. Like a great way to build on like the arc of Harley breaking free of the Joker that kind of
Mhm.
coalesces in Birds of Prey is like if they were in the helicopter and there was only one parachute. Like
Right.
he would take the parachute for himself. Like that's the dynamic that they have, whereas in
Hmm.
this it's more like you said, he's constantly trying to save her even then at the end with no explanation. Obviously we know tons of stuff of him was cut. Obviously we know that from the trailers and from everybody's talking about this movie. um he then again in the final scene breaks her out of the jail, and it's like
Hmm.
that to me is such a poor characterization of the Joker. And not only that, but like he's doing like a Jim Carrey mask meets like an alligator. Like I don't know what he's doing. Like oh my god, it's
They're supposed to
so
have their movie
hard to
together too,
watch.
weren't they? Were there supposed
Yeah,
to
they
be
were
like a
supposed to have.
Joker and Harley
Yeah,
movie?
yeah. But thank God that
But
never
yeah.
happened.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, that's my final verdict is it is not for, in my opinion, it's just not worth it.
mhm.
If you didn't see it, you don't need to see it.
One thing I will say, another thing to revisit it. He's only got like probably 3 or 4 minutes of screen time, but there is some solid Batman in this movie. There's if you like Batfleck, if you're a
Yeah.
big Batfleck fan, he does have some really solid scenes in this, particularly with Deadshot um, in the alley, with talking about Deadshot's family and stuff. That I think is a really great scene. Um, but yeah, other than that,
Mhm.
like we said, so I say revisit it for those reasons. Not that it's good, but I think it's worth rewatching it just to form your own opinion about it, that kind of thing. It's
Mhm.
only two. Also, it's only 2 hours. I thought it was way longer than
It
that, but
felt like three.
yeah,
I
and that's
told you,
saying
like,
something.
I clicked pause and I was like, oh, I have 40 minutes left. I thought it was
Yeah.
almost over.
Oh my god. But yeah, all right. So let us know in the comments down below. Do you like this new show? Are you guys gonna revisit Suicide Squad? Uh, Let us know what you guys think, and keep an eye out on the channel for at some capacity or another. We will be obviously giving our thoughts on the new Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad 2021, directed by James Gunn. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode of Films Revisited. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I've been your other host, TJ Cornwell, and we will catch you next time.